Okay. I can't tell if we are live or not, so I hope we're live. If not, then we're gonna have a bit of a doozy of a problem with tonight's session, that's for sure. So I hope everything is running fine, smooth, and dandy. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? So let me know if audio sounds good and clear. I also have to make sure that the chat box actually also functions as well. Otherwise, if not, then this is going to be a bit of a problem, not going to lie. But I think for the most part, we should be good to go. And I'm excited because there is a lot, and I mean a lot, to kind of go and talk about for today. Because, by God, we have a smorgasbord of content to talk about with the Nintendo Switch 2. But I want to make sure before I jump into anything else to see if everything is running fine and good. What's going on, buddy? How you doing? Also, I see that the chat box is not properly functioning here, so we need to go ahead and make sure everything is actually running smoothly for that. So give me just a second. Uh, it has been a while since I've actually done this, so bear with me. Actually, not thinking about it. Where the hell is it? I see that I have a chat box here. Clearly, it's telling me there's a chat box available for me, but for some reason, I can't seem to just paste it anywhere. So, oh well. But I think for the most part, we should be good now. I think so. I think this chat box should probably not that way. Should be showing up this way. And then we'll go from there. And see how things continue to play from that point onward. So, once again, everybody, how y'all doing? I'm going to turn off the music real quick just to make sure everything else is running fine and dandy. And yeah, let's go ahead and have some fun with tonight's discussion, ladies and gents, because normally, obviously, I would attempt to, for a lot of people, I guess they assume you would see me more on the side of Nintendo's, or at least on Twitch's channel. We'd be talking about things there. But I thought moving them over here for YouTube, when it comes to discussions and whatnot, would make the most appropriate sense, as we're going to be talking quite a lot about what's happening with Nintendo in its entirety. And there is a lot to discuss in regards to that. Um, Obviously, we are running into situations with pricing. Obviously, a lot of that is being debunked, but a lot of people are still unfamiliar with that because, once again, the pricings vary from region to region across the world. So, this is something that unfortunately is still ongoing. Obviously, the tariff situation, that's getting more into the political side and touching into topics of like the stock market pause and all that stuff that's happening right now. That was just recently announced, not too long ago, no less, to just bad organization by Nintendo's part. I mean, obviously, a lot of people, if you've seen reactions, myself included, if you've seen any of my reactions, you will know how much of a change it was for people's attitude to go from like an exciting high level of joy to like a deflating defeat from people's perspective, because the direct, it did so many wonderful things and completely failed on a bunch of other aspects that we'll obviously continue to get into as the day continues to play on. Also, yeah, the chat box is indeed working. Let's go. Okay, I'm very happy about that. Donkey Kong Bonanza looks amazing. Absolutely, I agree 100%. Donkey Kong Bonanza. There was a lot of great games that were shown off in that presentation. What do we have? Mario Kart World, obviously, big title. Everybody's excited for that. Why the hell would nobody be excited for Mario Kart World outside of one aspect? You had the Nintendo Switch Online, which got a bit of an update with the Nintendo Classics, obviously, and that being of the Nintendo GameCube side of things for F-Zero GX, Fire Emblem, all of these other titles coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, especially for Pokemon fans. You guys, Pokemon ate like during that week. Let's be real. Like that entire presentation from the one from the Nintendo Switch 1 presentation leading into the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, Nintendo and no, specifically Game Freak, I think legitimately came out winning with that one from their aspects. And look at that. So let's see. We got how's it going, KG? How's it going, Pika? How's it going, Curl? How's it going, Galar? How you lovelies doing? Hopefully everybody's doing great. But yeah, so as we continue on, 4K yes, you are correct. 4K is not something new. This has been in the market, as you guys know. On Nintendo side of things, they tend to be a bit behind when it comes to generational leaps. Like what was it? The Wii U just went into 1080p when Xbox 360 or even Xbox One and the PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 already were leaping into that generation. Hell, even tapping into a bit of 4K before eventually aiming for that with more within the PS5 and then the Xbox Series S and X. Um, so Nintendo has always been behind in that aspect. And to be fair, Nintendo acknowledges that. And this is something I'll always give Nintendo credit where credit is due because I feel a lot of people or a lot of companies tend to jump the gun very early on. And because of that, a lot of people are still getting familiarized with the development of games under 4K, under higher resolution, under higher fidelity rate, higher frame rate, higher all of this and that. Hell, it's gotten to that point now we're having to divvy up between both, what is it called? Gameplay mode and resolution mode. I don't remember what it's called particularly, but like there's a mode where it's like 4K 60 FPS, or you do 1080p 120 FPS. So there are things like that that are currently happening and still ongoing, even in the latest generation models. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because since Nintendo kind of is jumping into the game pretty late with that, I feel a lot of the tools or the assets that comes when it revolves around making content like this might be more on the simpler side for them per se to like the newer consoles that are trying to at this point shoot to freaking 8K, which I really don't think we need right now. Let's be real with that. In my opinion, Um, so I'll always performance mode. Thank you. So I'll always applaud them for where there need to be applaud for in aspects like that. And to be fair, Nintendo has been leaning towards more on the innovation side of things. Here, let me get my console real quick. This is my Nintendo Switch with the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet edition, the OLED. Obviously, I love this console very much, very dearly. But the greatest thing about this is just the ability to get AAA games or like first party titles of like huge scales in the palm of your hand. You know how incredible that is? Like I know it's okay, obviously I could play my the latest Elden Ring or Bloodborne or whatever it is on my PS5 that I got right up here, or GTA 5 or the upcoming GTA 6 on those consoles, but like there is a very special feeling when it comes to playing those titles in the palm of your hand. And now that it's been essentially 8 years since the Nintendo Switch had launched, 7 to 8 years. I don't remember the year specifically, but it's 7 to 8 years. We're moving into a new generation of a console with more power to the point that you're able to play games like Cyberpunk 2077, The Elden Ring, Pokemon Legends ZA, the Nintendo Switch Edition, Mario Kart World, and friggin' Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom in high level, frame rate and graphics on the palm of your hand, and I think that's something incredible. And I'm grateful that Nintendo is booming in that side of things. And so that's why I feel, despite that Nintendo Switch presentation showing off essentially a lot of third party games that've been out on the market already, like the titles I just mentioned, Final Fantasy VII remake, Cyberpunk 2077, Borderlands 4 that's coming out. What else is there to show off? Elden Ring. Like these titles already exist out there in the market, but the ability to play those games outside of your television and in the palm of your hand is something to really admire. Hell, I think a lot of people admire the fact that games like what was it, the Doom 2016 version coming into the Nintendo Switch, like that is a miracle port right there. And other titles that also fall in that same category, like The Witcher 3, being able to fit in the cartridge entirely, also another miracle port. So in that aspect, I applaud Nintendo on that side of things. Whew. With that being said, though, Nintendo, we got a lot to talk about, man. Like let's get let's get the Switch presentation out of the way real quick before we start getting into the more crazy stuff, like the pricing and tags and all that shenanigans. I thought that the Nintendo Switch presentation was legitimately a fantastic one. I think that they managed to balance a well organized amount of first party titles showing off the Nintendo Switch 2 system. They don't need to go as bombastic as they did with the Nintendo Switch 1 presentation, only because of the fact that, well, it's just another Switch, just more graphically powerful than its predecessor and able to output more things. So there's not much that they need to do in that side. But obviously, what they can show off more is the gameplay. What are the games? What are we gonna witness? What is gonna be the next big hit on Nintendo Switch's second console here? And so, like I stated already, we got a bunch of titles coming out from third parties, which are really big ones, by the way. I'm actually thinking of buying Final Fantasy VII Remake again, but this time having it in the palm of my hand to play on here. Oh, absolutely! You guys don't understand how much of a big deal that is to me personally, but it is. Cyberpunk 2077 over there as well. Elden Ring. Maybe I might stream Elden Ring. Who knows? But like these type of titles are so impactful in Nintendo side of things just because Nintendo is tend to always seen as the child of the video game industry. They don't tend to always get like these major AAA developers to come into their console to port these titles like it is. But we'll talk more about that later because it gets even crazier. And once again, I applaud them on that side of things. The first party titles they showed off, absolutely great too. Kicking things off with Mario Kart World. And Mario Kart World was very special because it's been a decade, I want to say, since Mario Kart 8 originally came out back on the Wii U, re-released as a deluxe edition on the Switch, and then got the Booster Course Pass throughout its rest of its lifeline, and then nothing after that. And obviously that is kind of crazy because it's like it's been well over a decade. Where is the next Mario Kart? And so they kicked off the Nintendo Switch presentation with a completely new mainline Mario Kart game titled Mario Kart World. And that looked incredible. Let's be clear. That game looked incredible in every way, shape, and form. I loved what I saw. Gameplay looked fantastic. Visuals incredible. Yoshi hella rocking right there with the Boshi alts and all that stuff. The man has the the gentleman dap looking with him. It's in the thumbnail of the stream right here. Like it looks great. I love everything what I saw from Mario Kart World. One thing I don't appreciate, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But it is also a title that's being bundled as an addition with the Nintendo Switch 2. If you buy that with the game, you buy it for $4.99. If things don't change in pricing, of course. Fingers crossed on that. But yeah, no, like everything that I see Chad mentioning about Mario Kart World, yeah, I'm excited for that. I am very, very excited for Mario Kart World for sure. Let me go ahead and see what Chad's saying here. So, KG, how you doing there, Ant? Hopefully you guys are doing well as well. Hope you guys have been having a wonderful Thursday thus far. We finally get Genshin on Switch after 4 or 5 years, bro. If they bring Zenless Zone Zero to the Nintendo Switch, beautiful. I'd love that. 24 race online mode is going to be crazy. So, obviously, there is going to be a Mario Kart World Direct that's going to happen later down the road. I don't think I'll be able to react to it when it's live, but I'm going to definitely hold on to it and then react to it when I come back from home, and then we'll do a reaction to it together for that presentation. Which, speaking about live streams, bro, I don't know. Maybe you guys, depending if you saw my stream or saw other people's streams, did you guys also see a lot of people were also running into issues with the presentation entirely? It was mostly on the US side of things, where the stream was completely desynced audio-wise from what's being presented on screen. And that shit killed a lot of the momentum because I think it died off specifically in the part where it did not need to die off. And that was when they were showing off Cyberpunk 2077 and Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I hated that. I hate that it happened like that. Um, so yeah, no, we'll get to that eventually soon, and don't worry. But yeah, I absolutely hated that it went down like that. Mario Kart World, once again, really solid looking title. Very ambitious in every capacity. Open world Mario Kart game. You're able to chill with your buddies in free roam mode. You're able to set up races and all that, and just go travel around the distance. It looks incredible from every side that you see it as. Um, and the maps that they chose for it looks pretty fun too. My favorite thing, though, I think my favorite thing for that mode has to be knockout mode. And knockout mode, as they mentioned in the presentation, was essentially you just with 24 total racers having to go from point A to point B to C to D to E. As you're progressing, more and more players get knocked out. You have to reach a particular threshold to even make it to the next stop, and it looked wild. I saw some of the ones that they showed off in Nintendo Switch Treehouse. I saw some that were shown off in like folks playing the game on the Nintendo Switch event. Um, the maps, they do look huge, but the chaos that revolves around them is adjusted to match that huge scope, because 24 racers isn't an easy feat. Imagine if it was the size, I want you to think 24 racers in the size of a Mario Kart 8 track. That is much more condensed because it's not accommodating for 24 racers. That is unplayable in some capacity. So to them, opening it up as the way that they did obviously was probably the smarter choice to make. And I applaud them for that. So the game looks fun. Visually, it looks great. I love that they made Mario chubby again, like he was before. He's a chunky boy. You got to see Yoshi kind of going in his Super Mario World design. You got to see Peach, Daisy, and all the other characters rocking the new redesigns. They almost kind of match similarly to like how they do in Wonder. Not gonna lie. And then obviously other playable characters that were completely thrown on there, and we're like, hey, by the way, cow, and you sold me with cow. Rail grinding is crazy. Hopping from wall to wall is crazy. I immediately thought, hey, freaking Sonic parkour going on over here. How you doing there? Hey, it's my buddy Terrell. How you doing there, friend? YouTube gang indeed. Yeah, we're just talking about the Switch. If you haven't yet, he also did a discussion on the Nintendo Switch as well. So if you haven't had a chance to check out his stream on that, make sure to do so. But yeah, so overall, what more can I say? Very excited for Mario Kart World. Looking great. Looking like I am going to have a field day with that. Online play is going to be nuts. So everybody who's going to be playing Mario Kart, let me know what you guys maining. I'm maining Yoshi, obviously, for the fact that it's Yoshi. He's my homeboy. I have to rep my boy. But damn, do I want to play as the cow, too. And I don't know if you saw that new footage of the cow who went like, woo! Utters everywhere. I loved it. I love Cow. Cow is like the best character so far visually in the game, outside of Dolphin. Because it was officially confirmed that Dolphin can ride the Dolphin bike. So this is about as insane as Yoshi riding the Yoshi bike. And I hope that that trend continues, because I want to see my boy Wiggler come back. And I want to see the Wiggler ride the Wiggler bike. So please give me more of that. Obviously, we got to see more other characters. Actually, in fact, people were going frame by frame with the visuals in that, and we're looking at all the characters that were just casually revealed, not even like pointed out. It's just like, oh, by the way, here's dry fish bones. Here's cow. Here's snowman. Nothing like not an original character. No, it's just snowman. And you got that. You got Charging Chuck. Kamek apparently is not a racer. I think he's going to be more of an on-field kind of thing. Who else was there? Bitty Buggy was there. It's chaos. It's chaos. I love it. I love it. Goomba. Thank God Goomba finally is a playable character. He's technically been able to ride a bike before in Mario Party, so it only just makes fair sense to have him ride a legitimate car. I'm just saying. I'm very excited. You guys don't understand how excited I am for this game. But yeah, so they showed that off. Just gonna quickly breeze through some of the things I have on head here because I'm not gonna go through all of them. There's just like too many games to announce, both third party, first party, and only want to talk about the ones I care about more than anything. Uh, Drag and Drive was a quick one that they showed off, which allows you to use the Joy Cons like a mouse, and you roll with them to roll the wheels of your of it, and then you're able to shoot hoops like that. And I thought on the wheelchair, sorry, and I thought that that looked legitimately cool. Maybe it's a little slow in terms of like how it's going, but like for the most part, it looks pretty fun. Very casual looking game. Then there was the Nintendo Switch 2 tour thing that I disliked very heavily. Not because it's a cool concept. Like, no, there are some really cool things. There was somebody showed this off, where somebody was playing Super Mario Bros. World 1-1. Okay? World 1-1. In its original size, playing it from the left side of the screen all the way to the right side of the screen. And it's like this little tiny box because technically that was how games were like back then. They were of this fidelity. And so you see this tiny ass pixel and this one guy playing this game from left to right trying to beat World War One. Like that in and of itself, first of all, Nintendo, that's money right there. Come on, you got to make that happen. The entire Super Mario Bros. Game just like that, please. But that looked fun. They also showed off some other things like being able to use the mouse to play golf or being able to use the mouse to avoid certain obstacles, whatnot. Like it's a really great tutorial game, and a lot of people pointed out that it's kind of like Astrobot from the PlayStation 5. However, there's a key difference between Astrobot and, of course, this game. And the big difference is that apparently, for some unexplained reason, the Nintendo Switch 2 Tour is not available as a packaged game in your system. Rather, it's something that is a purchasable game, which in my head makes no sense because the whole point of that game is to show off the system and its capabilities. And what do you mean I have to spend money to go and buy a game that's expected to just show off what the Switch can do? It makes no logical sense there. This is like as if you were to take Wii Sports, a game that's supposed to show off the elements of the motion control and the ease of it, away from the Wii. That makes no logical sense. You need this type of game in your system to sort of let people know, hey, this is what our system is capable of. We have little mini games here so you could play around with the features that are exclusively on the Nintendo Switch 2 and get a better feel for it and a better understanding of what this system is fully capable of doing. You completely making folks have to go out of their way to visit the eShop to buy said game because it's not a physical release, it's a digital release. That I feel kind of destroys the purpose of the game. At least compared to any other title. I know back when the Switch 1 came out, obviously there was 1-2 Switch, and you would think, oh, that would be a great game to have it packaged on the Nintendo Switch system. Guess what? It wasn't. And so what did they do? They just put it a full game release out there. And you would think, okay, the game bombed, right? Like it legitimately didn't make sales. I think it made like 5 million units sold. So that in and of itself is telling me, hey, by the way, this game is gonna sell. And it did. And so I guess Nintendo was hoping that this game would also fare in that same boat as well. Obviously it doesn't. It's a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. And I hope, given that there is still a little bit of time between now and the release of that console, that they start putting in a slip or some paper in that said console to go and buy, or not buy, just straight up download the thing. Please. It makes no sense. Nothing logical other than you just wanting more money in your bank. Nothing makes sense about that. It is honestly disrespectful to the consumer and a hurt to your brand, in my opinion. In fact, earlier today, Reggie, without even needing to say anything, posted a clip of a video that he had in an interview, I think with IGN a couple of years ago, where he was talking about how he had to combat against Miyamoto-san in regards to putting Nintendo's Wii Sports as a package product on the Wii when it sells. And Miyamoto was against the idea of that. And guess what happened? Because it came packaged with the Nintendo Wii, and because people were able to play a game right away from just opening up the package of their Nintendo Wii console, it ended up being one of the strongest selling units out there in its entirety, all because they actually decided to put that package with it. And it created this community to where now you have it in every aspect of the world, whether it be here, whether it be in community centers, whether it be in areas of families, there will always be a Nintendo Wii somewhere. And when there's a Wii, there's a Wii Sports, and you're always guaranteed a good time with that. So that's why I'm saying to myself, that made sense, and I wish Nintendo continued to follow that tradition. But ever since the Wii, when coming into the Wii U, and even to the Switch, and into the Switch 2, they completely went against that in every way possible. And it's biting them in the butt right now more than ever. So, yeah. I didn't think I was going to go as long as I did for the Nintendo Switch 2 tour, but here I am talking about it. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the pricing. Just to get that out of the way. That should have been a free downloadable thing, or it should have already came installed in your system from the very beginning without needing to install anything, because the whole point of that is to show off what the game is capable of doing, and most importantly, what the system is capable of doing. And then speaking about the system, let's talk about the system in and of itself. Compared to the Nintendo Switch original, jumping into the Nintendo Switch 2, hardware-wise, it is incredible leaps and bounds. Going from a 120 FPS, frames per second, being able to produce 4K streaming as well. Obviously stronger Joy-Con. They said they reworked the Joy-Con from the ground up to make it more stronger, more durable. Joy-Con drift is probably still going to be a thing, so be aware of that. They shut off the C button, which is the game chat, which we're going to talk about when we get to that, because I have words for that. They shut off, what else was there? What games it was capable of playing, which mentioned 3 different games, being of Nintendo Switch 2 titles, obviously, Nintendo Switch games, obviously, and Nintendo Switch 2 edition of games as well, which we'll also talk about a little bit later too. It showed off just a bunch of other things as well, like the fact that it has a mic built in. There's a Type C at the very top, which is great, because if you put this on, if you sit this down on stand mode, it can't really charge underneath because the port is at the bottom. So being able to have this right here while I'm able to use the top port to charge the system, I think is great. Now, what I'm really curious is, are people going to be crazy enough to use the top port and the bottom port to straight up charge the system with 2 ports? That's kind of scary. And I don't know if kids are going to do that or not. Well, we'll see if there's any reports on that. That's my big fear. But yeah, that's really what I have to say on that. They showed off other things as well, like just how it looks visually and whatnot. And I like it. I think it was a really well done introduction to the Switch 2's console, what it's capable of and all that. Great. I love it. Short, simple, sweet. We didn't spend a lot of time with it whatsoever. Fine. Let's move on to the next thing. Okay, I praise it. What's happening now? There's a C button. Okay, let's get to that C button. But before I get to that C button, I need to go ahead and grab a particular item that I have right here behind me, because I need this for this discussion. And this isn't a Switch thing, but it is something that is apparent with a lot of controllers or things that tend to sell it. So with me, I have something that a friend recommended for me. It is called the Backbone One controller. I don't know if anybody knows of this controller, but the whole premise about this, as you can tell by the port over here, is you lock in your phone in here and you're able to play games with controller settings, which is great for me. I have an iPhone 16 Pro Max. I play Zenless Zone Zero on here. I play some emulation through this as well. There's a lot of it's more comfortable than you think it is, and I love it for that. So why am I bringing this up? So I don't know if you see over here. There is this if I could show you this little orange button over here. What this orange button does is it redirects you to the app of the store and tries to sell you a premium subscription to unlock additional features that are only available if you have a premium service. So this controller, for an example, is capable of actually being used on computers if you plug it into the port underneath. Here's the kicker. You cannot do that like this. You have to buy the premium subscription to unlock that feature to use this controller on your computer. Tell me that's kind of ridiculous, please. It is low-key a dumbbell, but when you attach it with a phone, trust me, it's better than you think. But yeah, this button is straight up dumb. Because if you don't use a subscription service for this little thing here, essentially you have a dead button. And why am I bringing this into the conversation? Is because the C button is this. If you don't have a Nintendo Switch Online membership by the time that year runs out, and I'm going to assume that everybody probably has a Nintendo Switch Online, so whoop-de-doo on that aspect, but for those who might not have, there is now going to be a button on your controller that is easily clickable that will not function in any capacity unless you buy a subscription service. That, I feel, is probably one of the worst decisions that exists for this system. This should not be a premium service. If you built it into your controller and every controller has the particular button attached to it, then you, as the one who's making said product, needs to make this accessible for everyone. Because having a dead button is the most pointless thing that any product like this should have. I hate this particular button. I love this controller, but this is the most pointless thing to me. And the Nintendo Switch 2 is probably going to be the same for those who don't have Nintendo Switch Online. And I don't blame you. It's pretty expensive, especially with all the services and whatnot. If you have the Nintendo Switch family bundle, then you're in a better position, especially if you divvy it up with friends. But if you don't, then this is probably one of the worst things for you. Game chat to me is like Nintendo saying, all right, guys, we heard you. We finally have a feature that we should have had for years, but here you go. We hear you. Damn. No, that's what it is. They hear us. But you know, it's a funny thing. They hear you, but they only will hear you if you put more money in their wallets, though. So just bear that in mind. We hear you, but only if if you give me a little bit of that. If you don't, I ain't listening. But if you do, okay, you got my attention. That's just what it is with this button. So, once again, really quick though, the Backbone 1 controller is really freaking amazing. I would, like, if you play phones, or games on your phone, I should say, like Zenless Zone Zero, Honkai, hell, emulation, this is really good. I'm not going to go into the how, but there are games that I've been playing on this thing and replaying because I have this. And it's really freaking amazing. So, highly recommend people trying that out if they play games on their phone, of course. And your phone is strong enough to sustain that. Mine is a 16 Pro Max, so I would hope to dear God that it is. But yeah, so. Alright. Yeah, C button. Really cool concept. I like the idea. The camera thing is cool. I love all of that. Like, legitimately, like, don't get it twisted, chat. Like, I love everything that it was showing off there. It's such a cool thing, especially with the camera thing where it's able to remove the background, and then you're able to have like a live stream, essentially, of just the person playing the game, even if it's 10 FPS, whatever. But, like, it looks cool, and being able to attach that into like Mario Party Jamboree with the characters, with the faces showing up and the bubbles next to the characters, like, Legitimately, that is cool. In every sense of the word, it is such an amazing, amazing concept. I don't like that it comes with a subscription service. It should not be that way. And I hope Nintendo takes notice of that because more people are starting to slowly become aware of it. They didn't at first, but the moment that they realized that, hey, this is tied to the Nintendo Switch Online, now it's becoming a much more apparent issue. So, yeah. It's like Orion said in the chat, it is straight up the DLC button. Okay, so we critique a lot of the stuff that Nintendo Switch Online has to offer. But man, am I also excited for the Nintendo Switch Online. Can I just say that I am such a big fan of the GameCube. Viva the GameCube, Viva the GameCube controller. And they said, all right, bet, we hear you. Let's bring out the GameCube. And so they brought out the Nintendo GameCube Nintendo Switch Online service with The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, with Soul Calibur 2, and with F-Zero GX. Three amazing titles, all with the ability to play online as well with friends, which is great. I imagine Soul Calibur 2 is going to be getting a lot of replay for a lot of people. Because that game, first of all, it features Link for The Legend of Zelda. But secondly, a lot of people consider Soul Calibur 2 to be one of the peak from back in that era of gaming. So also, it features widescreen mode, which, by the way, the Nintendo Switch Online offers the widescreen options for the games of the GameCube that offer widescreen support, which is boom crazy. So they showed off that on the Nintendo Treehouse where they made F-Zero GX a widescreen game. They showed off Soul Calibur 2, a widescreen game. Like, for people who've had to stream these titles before, I don't know how many of you are like old school, but we had capture cards that were like with the cable plugs, old school ones no less, not the HDMI ones that we have nowadays. Hell, I already forgot the name of it. Pff, it's silly me. But what was amazing about it is that when you did widescreen mode, you had to readjust the capture card of the GameCube games to align with that adjustment to then be able to properly stream widescreen mode on Twitch or on YouTube. And so we got now an official version of streaming these Nintendo GameCube classics in widescreen mode without having to go through the hassle of having to refix all of the crazy things on it. So on that side, I respect that. Also, these games are also being streamed in a higher graphical setting as well. They mentioned higher frame rate, higher graphics, so that is great. I love it. I'm very excited for it. So yeah, and so looking forward to it. Looking forward to more games. They showed off Mario Sunshine, which we technically already have on the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo All Stars bundle, which came included with, what was it, Super Mario 64, Mario Sunshine in full widescreen mode, and Mario Galaxy. But now, to those who never got it, you have the Nintendo Switch Online version of it with the GameCube, which is pretty good. You have Fire Emblem. Okay, let's get to that one real quick. Fire Emblem. So many people might not know this, or maybe you do, but not with this title, but with another title, the Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door suffers from one of the most horrifying scalping prices for purchasing that game in this era, having to cost maybe like $200 something to get yourself an official copy of Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door for the GameCube. And now, when we got the HD re-release, thankfully people were able to keep, comfortably buy Mario, Paper Mario. One of the best Paper Mario games, no less, on the Nintendo Switch. So, that's pretty great. But there was one title that was not fortunate enough to get that luck, and that was the Fire Emblem game that is on Nintendo GameCube. I think it's called Radiant Dawn. That game suffers from still being there and not getting a re-release, and now they're including that on the Nintendo Switch Online, which is great because that means more people get to play one of the best Fire Emblem games that exists out there, and I love it for that. So I cannot wait to see what that's going to be like. And that's not the only game that gets to be offered there as well. You got to see Pokemon Coliseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness also being involved in this as well. I Game Freak. I did not think, legitimately, I did not think you were going to do that. There was nothing in the books that was making me think, oh, they're gonna just put these available here on the Nintendo Switch Online, because you would think Pokemon fans would be going asking this or that, but it's like, no, they're just saying, hey guys, enjoy these games right here on the Nintendo Switch Online service. These are great games that a lot of people don't know much about because it's not part of the mainline franchise. You know, it's not Ruby Sapphire Emerald, it's not Fire Red Leaf Green, it's not DS games or whatnot. It is straight up its own thing. And so Pokemon Coliseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, I I am so excited for that because I feel a lot of Pokemon fans have never played that game before. In my opinion, I genuinely believe a lot of Pokemon fans never played that Pokemon game before. So for many of them, this is going to be their introduction to essentially what is the real first console game release of a Pokemon title. Oh, you wish, or you wish home capabilities. Nah, hell nah, that's not going to be. It technically is not Game Freak, but it's still technically under their name too. Let's be real, they have the Pokemon. Like the only ones I think Nintendo really has a little more connection to is like the original 151. But like when you're talking about the other ones, it's still Game Freak. You know, obviously, other developers were involved, but I would like to imagine Game Freak still needed to give permission in some capacity to still put that out on the system, especially on the online system, no less. So yeah, and so I'm excited for that. I really am. I think it's going to be a really great game for a lot of people to be introduced. And also, the reason why it's such a cool thing is because this is also going to be an introduction for a lot of folks into like how the gameplay was like for that. Because I think for Coliseum, it was all pure double battle in every way, which was great, which was fun, which was glorious. Everything about it I loved about Coliseum. And I hope more people get a chance to see that as well. It really made you have to think and strategize. Because compared to all the other titles, Pokemon Coliseum was one of the more struggling games because of the fact that it had a very limited roster of Pokemon that you can have in your team. Like, you can't just go and collect the next Pokemon. You would think you could just go into the patch of grass and collect. No, you had to capture other people's Pokemon, essentially purify them, and have them in your team. And that was your team. You were in the most limited. You were with the most limited roster in any game. But it's that limited roster that sells this game for me because it makes you have to think outside the box for once. You're not going after the typical. You're not going after the regional bird. You're not going after the typical Dragonmon. No, everything about this game from beginning to end, you have to strategize the whole way through. And in my opinion, I think that is going to be a fun thing to see for first players having to jump into this game who are familiarized with mostly the single Pokemon 1v1 aspects, but now having to see that, oh, we're going to do double battles and oh, we're going to have a limited roster. How is this going to play out? So I'm very excited about that. This is going to be great. Could you imagine Shadow Lugia in Champions or Purified One with Psycho Boost? Hey, if they bring Coliseum mechanics into this, that's going to be wild because imagine all the chaos attacks. God. Obviously, when Coliseum came out, the move set for when you captured them, I think they only had one move, and then eventually, as you kept using them and getting them closer to purification, they unlocked more and more moves. I think Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness accommodates that by essentially giving you access to a lot of moves at the very start, even if they are Shadowmons. So yeah, no, Pokemon Coliseum is challenging. It's fun, but it's challenging, and I really hope more people out there get a chance to try it out. You will be surprised, legitimately. You will be surprised with what little you can really do. So please try that game out when it becomes available. So yeah, overall, what can I say? Am I in love with GameCube classics? Absolutely. And you know what else is also pretty exciting too for Pokemon? You know what? Actually, you know what's the funniest thing that somebody pointed out to me that I never knew? Pokemon has never been at 60 frames per second since back in the GBA days. Like, if we're talking outside of modifying systems, modifying the frame rate and all that, the last official game that ran its entire game, not just the menu, not just the battles, no, the entire thing at 60 FPS was back in Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. That was the last title to do that. Just think about that for a second. We have not had a Pokemon game run at 60 FPS since the GBA days. And now, since we're talking about Pokemon, let's get that Pokemon topic out of the way. Pokemon Legends ZA Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. What does it offer? Higher graphical look and higher frame rate. And if you see the trailer footage for it, you'll see that it actually is a 60 FPS game. When I saw the character walking through the field in the footage that they provided in 60 FPS, it didn't process to me until a little later that, oh my god, I'm actually seeing a Pokemon game running at a really solid 60 FPS with higher graphical input. Yes, yes, please give that to me. I loved what I saw with that. It looked really great. Hey, how's it going, man? Helios. And yeah, no, it's just like, obviously, this means that I would have to probably spend like $10, $20 to buy the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. I think it's $10 because it's only coming with like a bit of a graphical boost compared to like how it is with Metroid Prime 4, which comes with like a bunch of things, or Kirby, which comes with a bunch of things. I think it's only going to cost like, I think it's only going to cost, but it's going to probably cost $70 for this title. But but yeah, it looks good. It looks really good. The brief we saw of it looks really good. And it makes me excited because that means that when new footage has to drop for the Nintendo Switch 2 presentation and they show off a Pokemon Legends EA, we're not seeing the Switch 1 version. We're now going to be seeing the Switch 2 version, and we're going to be seeing all the gameplay and stuff at 60 FPS with all the trailers. Just think about that. That is a game changer for me. And I'm very excited for that. So Legends EA, not much else has been shown out for that one. But it's just great to know that we're finally getting the 60 FPS Pokemon game after 20-ish years, I want to say, since the last one at full gameplay and full everything at 60 FPS. Yeah, it was a hot minute since then. So yeah. Excuse me. I need water for talking. They didn't say what was in the Scarlet and Violet Switch 2 patch, but the Terra leak said it was a major update. So, okay, let's talk a little. I'm not going to talk about the leaks, by the way, because, first of all, I don't know much about the leaks. But this is huge as well. We'll get the Pokemon stuff out of the way so we can get back into every other topic. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is amongst one of the many titles that are going from the Nintendo Switch 1 to the 2 and are getting free. Hear that out. Free enhancements to it. We don't know what they are. We know they're going to get free enhancements when you play them on the Nintendo Switch 2. And that, to me, is the most exciting thing for Scarlet and Violet, because I feel it's finally going to come to, or from a buggy mess, okay, to a slightly less buggy mess. And while that doesn't sound like a lot, when you think about it, it's everything. It is everything. it makes the world of difference. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, when you look back at it from its lower frame rate when it comes to certain scenes playing out to the certain aspects about it, um, I am grateful. Hey, how you doing there, buddies? Look at that. I see Nani there. I see that star. See Red Dragon Apparash. How you doing there, friends? Hope y'all are doing great. Um, yeah, no, it's just exciting. It really is exciting to see this all play out, and I cannot wait to see what visual updates they're going to be doing to Scarlet and Violet. What visual updates they probably are going to do to Sword and Shield. Like everybody's talking about Scarlet and Violet for obvious reasons, but imagine Sword and Shield as well, also getting a good graphical boost too. Um, I don't think we're going to be seeing. I don't think we're going to be seeing new content in Scarlet and Violet. That doesn't seem like it's going to happen. But I feel like the games that you've played, the DLCs and all that, as Kuro mentioned, I think people are going to be replaying that game again on the Nintendo Switch too, because now I feel the game is going to finally be playable in the way that I think Game Freak wanted the game to initially have been playable. Maybe. For all we know, maybe between the release of Scarlet and Violet to when this console releases, they've probably been working on giving a little bit of more of a graphical push or a frame rate push behind the scenes with the tech of the Nintendo Switch 2, because you see them working with Legend ZA, and you know they have to work with the other games too to make it run on Nintendo Switch 2. Who's to say they weren't also trying to enhance performance boosts in those games as well? So Let's Go as well is also probably going to get a graphical boost as well. Like, I'm very excited. I'm very excited for that. And it's not just that title. Like, you get other Nintendo titles too. You got Kirby. You got Mario Wonder. You got all these other third party and first party titles. Like Xenoblade Chronicles X, I think it's going to be getting one as well. A graphical boost too. Or something of a enhancement, which is great. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember they said the upgrade editions are free or pay to play. So Scarlet and Violet is, at least as of right now, Moreno, is free to play in terms of, or free, or just free in terms of the update. If you have Scarlet or Violet, just plop it into the Nintendo Switch 2 and you get the performance boost that they say there. Now, we do not know if by some odd chance Game Freak have been working on Nintendo Switch 2 versions of Scarlet and Violet. If they are, it's kind of crazy. But if they're not, then they're only just going to get graphical increases and performance boosts. If they happen to release a Nintendo Switch 2 edition, then it's going to be, that's where you're going to have to spend extra money for. So bear that in mind. But for now, it's free. And it's many titles for free. The only ones that don't have it for free are Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Kirby, and the Kirby game. What was it? The Lost World or whatever it is? Shit, I forgot the name of it. Jesus Christ, I just had the thing on hand. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Metroid Prime 4, Pokemon Legends ZA, and I think Mario Jamboree. I think those are some of the games that were shown off that have Nintendo Switch 2 editions. But there potentially will come more later down the road for all we know. There could be a Tamagotchi Life 2 Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Pooh. And I'm very excited for that. So yeah. Overall, Pokemon, like I said, Pokemon I feel got a big win throughout these past couple of presentations. So very happy for them on that aspect. But let's continue on to the next thing now. Nintendo Switch 2 editions. We got The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and Breath of the Wild, both available as Nintendo Switch 2 editions, which increase the higher frame rate, HDR input, and visually enhanced. And now here's the cool kicker that they should have announced about this back when it was in the Nintendo presentation. Technically, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and Breath of the Wild, if you have a Nintendo Switch Online service, are free enhancements. You don't have to pay for the enhancements for them. You get them for free as long as you have a Nintendo Switch Online and those set titles. Which, if that side, thumbs up. I personally believe any of the games that are supposed to get Nintendo Switch 2 editions that only cost $10 should be free with your Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pass, particularly because you're spending extra, so might as well get the extras in that side, not just regular Nintendo Switch Online. I think if you have the expansion pass, you should get those for free. in my opinion. If you want to make the Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pass look a little bit more valuable in the person's pocket, you want to add something to it. So having Nintendo Switch 2 editions be for free, I think would be the smart choice to take. Because people still have to buy the games anyway, so you're still making bank on that. So, I mean, come on, look at it that way. So, yeah. But overall, I'm very excited about the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of games. I think they look really good. The performance increase for Metroid Prime 4 looks freaking fantastic. Kirby and the Forgotten Land with the DLC looks very fantastic. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom of the Breath of the Wild looking fantastic. Frame rate increase, visual increase, everything about that. Them actually running into the forest and the frame rate not dipping down to like 15 frames per second. Everything about that looks glorious, and I am very excited for that. So yeah, no, overall, very confident that it's gonna be pretty good, and I hope that the community also gets a good kick out of that as well. And I think as Kuro pointed out before, I feel like what's gonna happen with this is this is gonna bring a lot of replay value to a lot of old titles. You know, because I'm gonna be real, I might replay Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild under the Nintendo Switch 2 edition because I really want to see how much of a big change it really does offer for these titles, you know? And given that it's been years since I've played Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, I think this would be a perfect opportunity, you know, to offer that. In my opinion, of course, keep that in mind. So yeah, and Nintendo Switch on 2 Online, yeah, looks good as well. They showed off more other third party stuff. We already dabbled on it before. We dabbled on the we dabbled on a lot of the other stuff for Nintendo as well. They showed off the Legend of Zelda Hyrule Warriors specifically of what was it, the um, War of Calamity? No, no, I don't remember what it's, the War of Imprisonment. I think it was, which is another freaking Warriors game. I mean, if you're a big fan of those, I hope you get a good kick out of it. I'm personally not a big fan of it. But hey, I'm not going to deny those who would love to play those titles. So good on you for getting another Hyrule Warrior games. Best of luck 100% completing it though. Um, it looks fun. I'll give it that. Visually, I think I'm very more excited to see the lore dump that's going to come from it. I think that's going to be exciting. So yeah. What else was there off the top of my head that I'm not forgetting? Jamboree. I don't really feel like I need to go too much into that. It's Jamboree. And lastly, let's get into the last third party stuff of things, where they showed off the Dusk Bloods. Okay, the Dusk Blood looks really amazing. I love the Dusk Blood footage wise from what we saw of it. I think the thing I thought of when it was first shown off was the fact that it was a Bloodborne 2 or something of that capacity. And to my surprise, it is not. It's not Bloodborne 2. It is a straight up new IP, and it is looking like it's gonna be a really stellar one at that. I think it's supposed to be a PvPvE type of game, so it's not structured similarly to like Bloodborne or Elden Ring or any of those kind of From Software titles. It's completely different in that category, but it looks really good. And I think this has been in the works since the Nintendo Switch 1, that they decided to then carry it over to the Nintendo Switch 2 and are now going to be working on, making this an exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2 console. Good on you, Nintendo, for getting that. That's actually going to be really great. So, getting from software to make an exclusive IP in your system. Come on, man. That isn't that exciting. So, that was great as well. I don't really got too much details to go into that. Maybe in a later point I'll look more into details for the Dusk Bloods. But from what I saw visually and from what I saw gameplay wise, looks really great. And then they showed off brief footage. For those Silk Song fans, you got a W. Happy for you, I think. It's coming out this year, supposedly. Enjoy what you get. Deltarune chapters 3 and 4 also dropping out later this year, as well. I think at the launch of the Nintendo Switch too, which is great as well. So good on you. And then there was the last two titles, which is of the Kirby Air Riders that's being directed by Masahiro Sakurai. Okay, so I remember there was a tweet that was out there once before that was saying like, you don't really get to see developers out there and their names be as iconic or as noticeable as Sakurai's, and it's kind of true to an extent, in the sense that when you know you like everybody who knows about video games to some capacity know about the legend himself being of Masahiro Sakurai. Like he's just that big of a guy. Like this is the man responsible for bringing Sora to Smash Brothers, to bringing all these other IPs to Smash Brothers. He's not just beloved by players of the world, but also by developers and pioneers in the gaming industry. He is a well beloved figure in every aspect, you know. And so when the Air Riders trailer came out, it's kind of surprising and kind of amazing that they said, by the way, we're not going to show off any gameplay footage as of right now, despite it coming out later this year. But we want you to know that Air Riders is being directed by Masahiro Sakurai. And I want to ask you guys real quick before we continue. Did anybody else, by any chance, get a feel of it like it being a Smash Brothers trailer? Or was it just me? It felt like a Smash Brothers trailer. The way graphically and visually it looked, I know it's Kirby's still a round ball, but the way it looked, straight up looked like it was a Smash Brothers trailer. And then it kind of like blue balled you into thinking that, only for it to go into a 180 and then saying, by the way, it's Air Ride, which, by the way, I'm still excited for. Don't get it twisted. But it was kind of funny that the first thing I saw with that, even if it was Kirby, I legitimately thought, this is straight up something like Sakurai would make. And I was thinking immediately with Sakurai, Smash Brothers. And so Smash Brothers it is. And yeah, no, I'm glad it's Air Ride. I can't wait to see gameplay footage of it. I don't really got much else to say on it other than that, and looking forward to it. The last thing, though, the very last thing we got was Donkey Kong Bonanza. And that, to me, I feel was a great send off to the presentation. You're not making a new 3D Mario game, you're making a new Donkey Kong game, being able to rip things out from the ground and chucking them left and right and just going after enemies. And that game looks bonkers. It looks bananas. And it looks fun. I'll give it that. It looks like it's a lot of fun. And I cannot wait to play that game. And thankfully, we don't have to wait too long because it comes out, I think, a month after the Nintendo Switch 2 release. It's coming out, I think, in July. So it's not that far off. And I can't wait to see more footage of it when we get closer to its eventual release. But yeah, other than that, you would think I have more to talk about for Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I'm thinking off the top of my head, is there really much to talk about? I guess technically it's been, what was it, since Donkey Kong 64, since we last had a full-fledged 3D Donkey Kong game. So to be able to get one and looking like it's being made by the developers who made Mario Odyssey, but now with Donkey Kong, which would explain as well why Donkey Kong got a redesign for this title, because in the visual footage department, he's super expressive. I love how he looks. I love how he fights. I love everything about what I'm seeing of this new Donkey Kong. It might get a little getting used to because I've been so accustomed to the old Donkey, but this new one, I give it a thumbs up still. So yeah, I'm very excited to see how it's gonna play. I hope we can get rid of his his pants. I don't like that though. I'm not a big fan of that. He just needs to be free and in the wild, bro. I'm just saying that's just my opinion. All right, and that's how it ends the presentation with just footage of that. Nothing more, nothing less. They show off the release date coming out in June, and that pre-orders were supposed to have happened yesterday, but they didn't happen for obvious reasons. And yeah, now we get into the chaos of this entire presentation. Okay, so overall, the presentation, solid thumbs up. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely adored what I saw. Cannot wait to see what comes next. And then what came next shocked and completely deflated everybody's excitement. I mean, everybody's excitement. Okay, I'm not talking like everybody even went, oh, like everybody was like so pumped up for this console. But the moment I feel, in my opinion, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe it is just me. But I want to just ask, the moment when the um when the Nintendo Switch 2 tour game came out, the footage and all that, we all thought, oh, this is a great packaged game. I can't wait to play it on my system when I get it on hand. And then we find out that it's not actually part of the system. You have to pay for it. I felt was the first ear scratcher moment for me personally, because it let me be like, huh? Or head scratcher, I guess you could say, because it was like, what do you mean this is not packaged into the system? What do you mean this is not something I have to get right now, or I get away right now, and I have to get it when it's available and purchase it then? I think that was to me the big opener about like how they were approaching the system. It was this, and the fact that the entire direct it did not show off the official pricing of the Nintendo Switch 2 console at all. And it left a lot to be desired because it was almost like in a sense of like, A, either you guys were still kind of having to battle against the situations that are happening with real world events, or B, you were not confident with selling the system in the pricing that you offered it as. So let's get into that. The Nintendo Switch 2 console prices at $449.99. The bundle that comes with it, with Mario Kart World, is packaged at $499.99, but you get Mario Kart World for $50 compared if you were to buy Mario Kart World on its own, which will cost you, and hear me out, a whopping $79.99. This is an $80 game. Outside of tax and all that, you are essentially paying one of the highest premium prices for a AAA first party game in essentially decades. We haven't seen pricing like this since back in the SNES or even in the 64 days. This is a shocker right here. And it left a lot of people frustrated, and it left a lot of people kind of mixed, because when the pricing for the Nintendo Switch 2 came out with 449, people were like, okay, I was maybe trying to go for 399.99, but 449 is not that bad. I could probably take a little hit there. Okay, that's perfectly fine. At least the games will be, roughly around $60. And at best 70, because Tears of the Kingdom was hitting at 70, so I assume these games are also probably going to start reaching that $70 threshold, right? And then Mario Kart, of all titles, is the one that's hitting for $80. And this is why this will become a bigger deal. I think, I legitimately think Rockstar Studios, the ones who are making GTA 6, were probably clapping and hollering throughout that entire reveal of its pricing for Mario Kart World, because I remember there was like rumors and speculations that the next GTA game was going to range at $100 because of just how much of it offers. And I remember Doug Bowser was saying that we offered the pricing for this because this is what the game in and of itself, you're paying for what the game is going to offer, and it's going to be $80 worth of content in there, which, to be fair, there is a Mario Kart World Direct that's going to happen in just a couple of days from now, and so maybe we'll get our answers there. But still, this is the beginning of a huge change in our ways of how we spend games for the future. Because if Nintendo set the precedent now for games being able to hit $79.99, this leads to other developers and even other companies like Microsoft or Sony to also follow that threshold as well and start hitting for $79.99 titles, or even above and beyond. Freaking Grand Theft Auto 6, like we just stated before, could be a title that will come out as $100 for all we know, because it's such a huge game. And they could probably get away with it because it is the next GTA game. They can do that. And I think people need to realize that companies know what consumers want, and so they'll be willing to up the price because they know consumers will be willing to go the extra distance to get said game. You could try boycotting for GTA 6 the moment it gets revealed to be $100. But when you think about it, you're missing out on probably what is going to be one of the most generational games of all time in this era. And you're going to miss out on it. I don't think you're going to do that, in my opinion. Maybe you'll do it not in the sense of a boycott, but more in the sense of you can't get it, and that's understandable. Don't get it twisted. The thing I think we're also needing to realize is that as things continue to raise higher and higher, the amount of funding that you yourself get from what your job is like, or from where you're getting your currency, wherever it is, from work, from other forms of commissions and whatnot, that doesn't increase with that. Essentially, think of it like this: you get a dollar raise, okay, and and because of the dollar raise, everything happens to increase in $2. And at first glance, it doesn't look like a lot, okay? But every year, that moment doubles. So now you enter year two, you get $2. Okay, now you match with the amount that's currently being shown off here. Except guess what? That doubles to, $4. And now you move into the third year, you make $3. That's $6. Every year, it continues to increase that gap more and more. And the reason why this is a big deal is because sadly, this isn't something that's been happening in this decade. This has been going on for decades. And unfortunately, we're now to a point where the gap is such a humongous scale from the amount of money you make versus the amount of you have to spend. It's not matching. You're not earning enough to accommodate the big increase of stuff, whether it be for computer parts, whether it be for purchasing automobiles or purchasing supplies and whatever it is. Everything is increasing, but the amount that you're getting paid is not increasing enough to match and fulfill whatever it is that you're needing to get. And sadly, this is now starting to enter into the world of gaming too, where now it's not longer starting to feel like a hobby. It almost feels like a premium kind of thing to get your hands on these titles. Because now you're having to spend 80 to 90 bucks for a AAA Mario game, and potentially $100 to $110 because tax and all that for the next GTA game. And other companies will also start following that trend as well, because they'll see that consumers will buy these games even if it's valued higher, because they know that these are the IPs that people want. These people want the next GTA game. People want the next Mario game. People want the next whatever is out there. And so they will just up the price because they know consumers will get it. And unfortunately, and this is the sad truth of it all, just as much as they do this and how much of a problem it is that they are making this occur, I myself as a consumer am also the problem, because guess what? Despite me critiquing and criticizing the price increase of these games or the price increase of these consoles, I'm still buying these consoles. I'm still buying these games. I'm still capable of doing all this. And yeah, no, it's that's the thing. Like, I want this to be clear, Moreno, as well for others as well. Like, for me, I want this to be stated. For me particularly, I am more than comfortable and am in a comfortable position to be able to affordably get these things. I can buy four for all I know, and I am having to buy three. I'm buying for myself, I'm getting for my little brother, and for my mother. And we're all obviously going to be getting the bundle that includes with Mario Kart. And guess what? How much is that? $500 a pop. Throw times 3, that's $1,500. Including maybe a controller, some of the other games through digital formats. I'm willing to spend over $2,000 on this for the family and myself. So I'm in a comfortable enough position to do that. I thankfully have been in a position where I've been saving enough to where I can afford these things. I've been working and watching my own salary increase and adjusting itself to the pricings of stuff that's currently being paid nowadays, but I'm able to adjust to it. But see, that's the thing. That's me. That's my story. I'm able to do it because that's what I'm currently living in, and I'm living thankfully and blessed. Thank God I am in a comfortable position to where I am at to do that. But the story isn't always going to be applied to every individual out there. Everybody has their own stories, whether it's a story of praise or of disapproval or of any in between of how much we make or how much we have to sustain our lives and all that. It's not the same. So, as much as I'm buying these things and all that, I also can understand the frustration of those who have to think about it, who have to now jump into this system with the idea that they can't always get everything because everything in that system has to offer is also increasing too. These games are no longer $60. These games are now hitting 70, hitting 80, and we're going to be hitting 100 relatively soon. You know, and like I said, I'm fine with that. I'm gonna feel a little irked by it. Don't get it twisted, but I'm still capable enough to do it because I've been saving for these things. I knew that the next system was coming. I knew we were going to see at some point in this future a Nintendo Switch 2. So I've already been prepared for this sort of situation for years now. I thought this thing was going to come out years ago, and now I have enough to get three of them plus other accessories. But not everybody falls in that same category. And I feel, and I forgot who it was. I think it was Maximilian Dude that said it best. As cool as it is to enjoy these games, it almost feels that because of these pricing now, not everybody gets to enjoy it. Because they're no longer able to, comfortably get these systems. Um, and it bums me out. Because I can imagine maybe there's a viewer who's maybe watching now or later down the road who hears these and maybe they won't be able to get the system, and that means they won't be able to play the same game that I'm playing. I want these stories to be something that we all can attach together, and it bums me out that because of how these things are priced, that individual won't be able to be a part of that story outside of just viewing it from a viewer's perspective. These things should be something that everybody can easily access and easily afford to have a sense of a community to build with one another and create fond memories. And it's just a disappointment to know that that is not the case. Now, mind you, I want to be clear, anything can change between now and then. It's still going to come out on June. But I'm assuming Nintendo has seen the reception of this. I'm assuming Nintendo, given that now they had to hold and delay the pre-orders of these systems, they're probably going to work things out. Will they increase the pricing? Will they decrease the pricing? Will it stay the same? How will the video games look? Will they decrease Mario Kart World to $70 instead of 80 like what they had initially wrote it as? What's gonna happen there? We don't know. There's so much up in the air that Nintendo did to themselves. 100% all of this was Nintendo's fault. Nintendo should have been confident with the pricing of its games, of its console from the get-go in that presentation. But because they did not do that, because they decided to keep that to the side and decide to let people look at it online, it created a world of misinformation and everybody was fuming about it. People thought Mario Kart World was going to cost only $80 digitally and that Mario Kart World was going to cost $90 for the package version, the full physical release of it. But that's not the case. It's all straight 80. But people didn't know that because Nintendo didn't direct them to the information good enough to share that. They were horrible with it. And it wasn't just for the games. It was the console. They didn't talk about the specifics of the pricing. They didn't mention if it had anything to do with this or that. No, they just kept things vague. They were not confident with the pricing of this console when this was shown off in the presentation. If you had shown this off at a $449.99 in the presentation, yes, people would be displeased a little bit by it. But I don't think it would have been as atrocious as it would have been now had they known earlier. I think you should have done this. KG, I don't know anything about the side of business works, but Nintendo really needs to reconsider and renovate their business practices when it comes to selling expensive products. The thing is, though, they can get away with that. I want this to be clear. They absolutely could do this. Like, I'm comfortable enough. 450. I was thinking it was going to be 449. I also thought it was going to be 399. So hitting the 449 in that middle gap right there, I think is a perfect enough pricing. It's not too costly, but it's also enough to justify what it's offering. It's giving you a 4K 120 FPS system with the fidelity and graphical input of like a PlayStation 4 to a PlayStation 4 Pro. If we're trying to compare it to like other systems out there. But that's not something that you just plug into your TV. No, this is something you can carry with you on the go. And so I can understand that pricing. That's not my problem. My problem is the pricing of the games because you left everything in misinformation. First off, Nintendo Switch games, $80. Like I said, this is going to set the foundation for what future developers and what future companies could do, because if Nintendo can get away with this, and they will, other developers will see that and they'll think we can do that too. I guarantee you, one of the first third-party developers that are probably going to follow that trope is probably going to be Ubisoft, for sure. They're probably going to look at it, they're going to be like, we're going to release our next Assassin's Creed game at a $79.99 pricing. Wasn't Ubisoft also the ones that did the whole 4A, tier gaming or whatever it was? If anybody remembers that. Sony will look into it. The next The Last of Us story, maybe The Last of Us 3, will be like a maybe $79.99 or maybe an $89.99 game because of just how much it's going to offer. Or maybe, DLC for other games or whatnot. It's going to just shoot up too. What maybe costed like $10 to $20 now might go into $40 or $50. You never know. Anything is going to now be plausible on that. And it could potentially destroy any goodwill between gamers and developers in that sense. And that's just me spitballing here, mind you. Like, I don't know if this will happen or not. Like, it could all be a farce. But it is just something to consider in mind. So, once again, pricing of the console, $449.99, I'm okay with. Maybe others might feel a little iffy. I do feel like a little, I would have preferred $399.99, but $449 is not like a kill at the end of the world kind of thing. $499 for the Mario bundle makes sense. I'm getting a game with it. That's great. Speaking about games, I don't like what you're doing with the Nintendo Switch 2 Tour game. That is a big red flag for me personally. Have you learned from your predecessors in the past that that's not the way to go? Nintendo Land not being something that was packaged with the Wii U, except if you were to have bought only the black version of the Wii U, which came with like a 32 gig and that game. That should have been available for all Wii U's personally. Nintendo Switch 2 with 1-2 Switch. 1-2 Switch should have been there. In my opinion, should have been there. Wii with Wii Sports. Wii Sports originally wasn't supposed to be on the Nintendo Wii, but guess what? Reggie fought for that, and he made the smart decision of it, because now every Wii owner owns a Wii. And that helped revolutionize and made the Wii be the console that it is. If it wasn't for Wii Sports, the Wii, I don't think would have been as big of a blowout as it is right now. And then the Nintendo Switch 2. You're releasing a tech demo that shows off the capabilities of the Nintendo Switch 2 console in its entirety, from the magnets to the attachment of the Joy-Cons to the visual upgrades to what these buttons can do. All of the stuff that sounds like it would be something like it's Nintendo's version of Astrobot, that would be something on the console itself from when you open this package up, only to find out that this thing is not in the system itself. You have to pay for it. You have to own it by buying the game. That's not even a physical release. You have to buy a digital game by going to the eShop and buying it there to then play a game that shows off what the Switch 2 can do. Nothing. I'm getting a migraine thinking about that. Why is that a thing? That makes no sense. If you're trying to show off what your system can do, offer a game that shows what the system can do in its system, not purchasable. Come on. Switch to welcome to our early game of the year candidate calling it. I mean, that Mario Bros. 1 World with the 4K shit is hilarious as fuck. I want to play that. Not gonna lie, I want to play that so badly. It looks so good. I am a dumb, silly consumer, and I'm going to spend my money willy nilly like that and buy a game that should have been free for $10 because I'm that bad of a person when it comes to financial stuff. But man, I want to play that Mario Bros. 1-1 level so bad. Also, how you doing there, Alpha Evie? Hope you've been doing well. Ah, man. So the Switch 2 has no base content. When you buy the Switch 2 by itself, there's nothing included. If you buy the Switch 2 with the Mario Kart World bundle, you get a digital code that includes the Mario Kart World game. So you have a game. Now, if you have a Switch 1 library, all of those Switch games can be played on the Switch 2 with all the increased stuff that are offered for free, which is great. Don't get it twisted. That's cool. So you still have a huge Switch 1 library that you can play with. Beautiful. All right. Nintendo Switch 2 editions. Let's get to that. I'm not a fan of Nintendo Switch 2 editions as well. I can respect games like Mario Party Jamboree and Kirby and the Forgotten Land because not only are you getting an increase in frame rate and all that, you're also getting downloadable content that comes with it. With Kirby and the Forgotten Land, you're getting completely brand new levels alongside a new story content with that. For Mario Party Jamboree, you're getting not only the increase in that, you're also getting completely brand new worlds of levels that can be played with the mouse feature, the camera feature, amongst many other things. So in that sense right there, I give it a thumbs up. Personally, that makes so much sense. I will be willing to spend the $20 to get those increases. Great. Now, let's talk about the ones that only do the bare minimum in the sense that they offer a increase in resolution and an increase in frame rate. The Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are perfect examples of that. They cost $10 to get those increases. However, if you happen to own a Nintendo Switch Online, you get those enhancements for free. That is really smart of them to do. And that should be, in my opinion, I'm going to be a contrarian here. Maybe you guys can agree with me or not. But what if, just hear me out, what if you were to own those titles and they would be included for free, but to those only who own the Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pass? I think if you have the Expansion Pass, because you're spending extra, you should be given the Nintendo Switch 2 editions, the standard ones, not the ones that include downloadable content. I'm talking about the standard ones that just increase frame rate and resolution. Those should be given to you for free, in my opinion. I think that would make the most sense. I think that would make consumers happy because now it also not only offers these enhancements and stuff for free, but it also kind of makes you feel a little bit more worth and satisfied with the purchase of a family edition of the Nintendo Switch Online. Because or let me rephrase that. It makes the value of the Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pass feel a little bit more well earned to get. You know, I think that would make the most sense. Games like Pokemon Legends EA should be part of that. Metroid Prime 4 should be part of that. Tears of the Kingdom and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, they are part of that. If other Nintendo Switch 2 games that only just simply offer an enhancement and nothing else, I think that would be great. Don't increase the budget of the subscription service, but increase the amount of content you can offer on that. And the reason I say this is because I think Sony and Microsoft sort of do that. if you own a PlayStation subscription, PlayStation Live or whatever it's called, you get given options to download games every month. And sometimes it'll be like little titles, and sometimes it'll be pretty big titles. But you can get these things to download for free as long as you own these systems or the online subscription. It would be cool if Nintendo were to follow that trope too. I think it would be great. If you won't offer a lot of the big AAA games, you know what you should offer? Indie games. You have a whole plethora of indie games. I think that would be great for those who have Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pass specifically to get a lot of these things on a monthly basis. Give us a new indie game that we can download every month. I think that would be great. Give us Shantae, give us Shovel Knight, give us what else is there? Hollow Knight. Give us, give us these like indie titles. I think that would be a great way, honestly, to just make the enhancement of the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pass feel much more satisfying. And that includes the Nintendo Switch 2 editions, personally. That's being too generous from Nintendo there. And that's my problem. I'm spitballing something that's never going to happen. Like, it's never going to happen. And it bums me out because Sony and Microsoft offer this. So why in the world can Nintendo not follow that same trend too? They always have to be stingy with this because they want a little bit more money. And I think and I think once again, like I stated before, I am just as much of a problem with that than Nintendo themselves because as a consumer, I'm gonna be upfront with you. I'm buying the next Switch 2. I'm buying Mario Kart World. I'm buying Cyberpunk 2077. I'm getting Deltarune. I'm getting that Nintendo Switch 2 tour. I'm getting these games that's supposed to not really cost extra money, but I'm getting them because I can get them. And because I can get them, I'm buying it. I'm buying into what they're offering, and I'm just as much of a problem because I'm telling Nintendo and I'm telling other developers out there that I'm willing to spend 20 more bucks for content that should have been for free from the very beginning. And it kind of bums me out, and it kind of doesn't at the same time because I'm so excited to play Legend of Zelda. I'll say here, not just day one. Like, I'm getting Street Fighter 6, bro. Years 1 and 2 edition, you give me all the DLC content. I think Terry and Maya are there too. Please give me that shit. Elden Ring coming out later this year. Oh, please, I'm getting that shit. Cyberpunk 2077. I never got a chance to properly play that. Now you can play it portably on this thing. Please, I'm getting that. Pokemon Legends ZA. Am I willing to spend $20 extra to get a Pokemon game to run at 60 FPS for the first time since Pokemon Emerald? Yes, like it's such a weird feeling, chat. It is such a weird feeling to say to be critical, to be so in the criticism side of things, and yet still so excited for what they're going to give me because it is Nintendo. It is their games. I love their games. I love their IPs. I love what they're giving me. I love that third parties are helping them out. And I'm loving seeing these AAA games also being there. Final Fantasy VII Remake. I own this, guess what? On the PlayStation friggin' 5 because I bought that with the bundle that came with the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But guess what? I'm buying this here. Why? Because I could play this here. Like, I think you need to understand as well, as I get older, I don't have much time like I used to just sit down and play on my TV like I once did before. This here is a changer. I could play this on the way from work to home, or I could play this on a trip, or I could play this anywhere that I'm available at, like whether on an air ride or on a train or anything of that sort. In the palm of my hand. You can't really do that with this. You can't really do it with any of the things that they offer. And that freedom to pick up and play is such a big deal to me personally. And I'm loving it. Evie, I'm also getting the Dusk Bloods. Oh my god, the Dusk Bloods look so much fun. it looks like so much fun. It's literally what Miyazaki wanted to do with Bloodborne 2, I feel, but they weren't allowed to. And so they said, okay, Sony, if you're going to be stingy, if you're not going to give me my Bloodborne 2 that I want to see happen, hell, if you're not even going to give me Bloodborne at a 60 FPS setting, you know what? Hey, Nintendo, can I come over there and give you a completely fresh IP that almost looks like a spiritual successor to our previous IP that we gave to another company? And guess what? We'll make it exclusive for your system. Yeah! It's such a funny thing. Sony, you kind of screwed up on that. I'm not gonna lie. You kind of did that too. It's such a funny ass thing, bro. It's such a funny ass thing. Sony, you done fucked up with that one. I'm sorry, but you did. You did. Ah, man, but yeah. So it's a weird feeling. It's a really weird feeling. As a consumer, obviously, I feel irked. I feel a little. I feel a little from the fact that I have to spend extra. The fact that I have to buy 3 of them, no less. I have to buy 3 of these things. 3 of them, okay? Count them. 1, I have 1 over there, and I have 1 behind it. And I want people to understand that you think that these are boxes. No, buddies. That Mario Day one has a Nintendo Switch console inside it. That Legend of Zelda one behind it has a Nintendo Switch OLED behind it. They're still pre-packed. I haven't even opened these boxes up, but I bought these things because I love this company. I have with me over here as well, if I can just grab this on the side right now, I have with me a Nintendo Switch Lite, okay, of the Pokemon Sword and Shield game, I believe. Yeah, look at that, right here in the background. You can see Zacian and Zamazenta right there in the background. I bought these, and I have plentiful more around here as well lying around. And why did I buy these? Because I love this system. I love this franchise. I love these little knickknacks that they offer me. And I was able to. And I'm comfortably able to. Because these things were affordable. These things are affordable. These things don't cost as much as what the Switch 2 has to cost. I could buy me 2 of these. And I only could get 1 Switch 2. You know what I mean? It's almost like you have access, not even just access to a Nintendo store, just access to the internet. Like, I could buy, like, I go to my local GameStop. I could see the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, I'll buy that there, you know? Okay, the Mario Day one. Okay, that's a Nintendo Switch. I think store exclusive or some shit like that. I don't remember. The Legend of Zelda one I bought at Best Buy. You know? The Scarlet and Violet one. Okay, I bought that at the Nintendo store. Yeah. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just what it is in my eyes. Hey, Rob, how you doing there, buddy? Well, it's down to this, KG. Either you're willing to pay a lot for the games, or Nintendo has to rethink of their business practices. But Nintendo has and will never change their business strategies. You're right. You are 100% right. And you want to know why? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still $60. This game has been out since close to its launch of its system release on the Nintendo Switch at a solid $60. And that's not even including the expansion stuff, I believe. I think there's like a separate release that comes with it. But like for the most part, you're getting just that. A Mario Kart game at a solid 60 because Nintendo believes that the game, even at this time, still deserves to be priced that way. And guess what? Nintendo was right. Nintendo was 100% right in their decision to keep that game $60. And why is that? Because guess what? It is now one of Nintendo's biggest IPs. I would consider it to be their biggest IP of all time in what they are. Hell, Super Mario is not the biggest IP for Nintendo no more. Mario Kart is. The platformer itself that innovated and defined generations, that's not the big IP no more. The racing game is. You know, it's kind of wild to think of it like that. A portion are going to buy the Switch 2 to also play the GameCube games, and guess what? You also have to buy The GameCube controller, which guess what? I'm also gonna try to buy too. So yay! I can't wait to get my hands on that though. The game, listen, you cannot play GameCube without the GameCube controllers, bro. I mean, Viva la GameCube! But yeah, it is what it is. Um, and I felt like I ranted on for quite a long time, and I apologize for that. I didn't mean to go on to ramble for as long as I did, but I had a lot to get out of my chest in that sense. Because I want people to sort of understand that I get you. I understand where you're coming from. I understand the frustrations that comes from purchasing these expensive things because they are expensive. And sadly, for a lot of people, the budget that they make from work or wherever they're how they're living their lives is not living up to the price increases that we're seeing in the things that are being offered. Like I stated before, for every dollar you make, everything else just increases by double or triple. And even though you keep increasing dollar per dollar every year, the products increase double or triple every year as well. So even when you think you're catching up, they completely throw you at a curveball year after year after year. And now you're 20 years in and you're at this point thinking that you're absolutely at your highest, but now everything is so high up that it goes above the screen. And you can't keep up, you know? And this isn't just applying for games. This is applying for everything, you know? That's just how it is. I'm not the biggest financial guy in the world. I'm not that knowledgeable when it comes to that sort of stuff. That's not my field of expertise. I thankfully know what I would consider just the bare minimum in just the little things that I know. And I watch videos from other people who form themselves under that sort of stuff, who guide themselves and who guide other people who don't know much about this world and its economy and its all that stuff, and kind of teach me a little bit about that, who is uneducated on that side of thing. And it also taught me, once again, how to save, how to cherish what you can get and what you can't get. Because no matter what, there will be things, even as you get older, even as you increase in life, you know, with your budget and all that, there will be things you can't get that you wish to get. So rather than trying to aim for that, aim for things that you're in your budget to get, you know? Aim for the things that your wallet is capable of getting from a year from now or 2 years from now and work towards that, you know? Like hell, or just make or use the money in a sense that will make your life fun. Use the money that will make your work, your value, the work, the effort you put for years and years work. Last year, you know, I went to one of the countries that I never thought I would visit in my lifetime in the way that I did. You know, I went to Japan. I spent close to 15, okay? 15 grand in that location. I traveled to many aspects of Japan. I visited many areas of Japan. Hell, I even visited things that are here in the US that I visited for the first time over there. I never went to Disney World here in the US, but guess where my first experience of Disney World was? Over there in Japan. What about Universals? Universals, we have one here in the US, right? Guess what? My first experience? Over there in Japan. So, you know, thanks, Evie, for hopping in. I really do appreciate your company, man. You're a real one. Stay safe. Yeah, it's true. I like, you know, I visited a convention that I've been wanting to visit. Like, I don't know if you see the Nikkei merch there. I went to one of the Nikkei events there that was open on the final day of my trip there. I went to it because I was able to. I bought tickets for that stuff. I was able to get my hands on a bunch of other things, you know. I visited Hokkaido. I visited Tokyo. I visited Kyoto. I visited, you know, so many wonderful, wonderful things that were available out there. But the reason why I was able to is because I was blessed enough to have people who cherish me, and also I was able to cherish what I am able to afford and cherish what I'm able to get and what I'm able to do. But because I knew that, I'm able to work around what I can get. You know, I bought like I wasn't in one hotel throughout those 18 days. I bought like 4 or 5 hotels because I wasn't in Tokyo all the time. I was in Kyoto. I was in Hokkaido. Yeah, I think it's Hokkaido. Hakone. You know, I went to different areas. I saw all the things that I think I could take and watch. I was able to use bullet trains. I was able to do all this. I was like, you have to see um, what you're capable of doing and work around that. You know, but like I stated, I'm not the kind of guy to speak on those kind of financial things. I'm just able to talk about my experiences from what I've learned from those who guide us to learn these things. And I hope that you guys who, and this is, you know, like the Switch 2 in a sense, with the systems costing more and the games costing more, can be a bit of a wake up call for consumers around the world to see that your wallet is everything, you know. And it's important for you to value what you can get and value what you want to get, um, more than ever. Especially now, once again, we're currently in a moment, in a real world crisis currently in our economy, with certain things like tariffs or increases on, you know, whatever it may be that's being there with the price of food or whatnot. Everything is increasing. Um, Maybe not much of how much we get earned from our money, but everything around us is increasing. So it's important to understand and budget yourself accordingly to the situation at hand. And I know that right now, thankfully, we're in like this weird 90-day pause and whatnot. But still, that once 90 days comes up, what's the next story? We don't know. So it's important to prepare ourselves in every way possible. So once again, if you want to learn more about these things, I highly recommend checking out throughout some of the areas in YouTube. Like there's some really good people out there who offer guidance and that sort of stuff. Even some people who report the news. Like I know, who was it? Leon Omni. He occasionally does like one or two videos that talk a little bit about like the finances and being able to do this and that as well, outside of the news stuff that he talks about. So by all means, highly recommend you take a look at that and you know, work around that. Everybody deserves to pursue their own happiness. You just need to know how to manage that route to getting to that. Whether it be to comfortably buy games, or to comfortably spend money on gacha, or to comfortably go to trips. It's your choice. But you need to be the one to take the initiative to make those moments happen. So, highly recommend you do that. Hell yeah, reading basic economics. It's always that. Like just, like I said, it's just the bare minimum. Like it's such a really small little thing. Highly recommend you guys do. Highly recommend watching a video or two. Maybe on your way home, or maybe you're in a moment where you're on lunch break. You can have a little listen to a video or something like that. I think it's important to educate ourselves in that sense. You know, your thoughts on Lego Pokemon? There's Lego. Oh shit! You're right. There is Lego Pokemon, isn't there? man, it. I love it. I love how I'm going all into like this economic shit and everything, and like Lego Pokemon. Ooh. Not Lego Pokemon. I mean, I'm not really the biggest Lego guy. I do love Lego games, so if they make a Lego Pokemon game, you got my book. But anything else, not much. Other than that, though, thirsty. Sorry. That's really all I got to offer to talk about for today. It's such a whiplash because once again, like I was stating before, I was talking about all this stuff. I was legitimately excited. I'm happy. I'm joyous. I'm so looking forward to what Nintendo has to offer. And then you get hit with the realism and disappointment with a lot of things. But that do be what it is now. So yeah, that's really all I got to offer and say, man. But alas, though, that's really all I got to say for today. I don't think I have anything else much to add to this conversation. I feel like I got all of my points across for the most part. And I want to thank you guys so very much. Sincerely, thank you guys so very much for all the support you've given these past couple of weeks since I've been back here, being able to make videos and being able to talk with y'all. You know, we need a rant stream, Nikkei stream. Hey man, Nikkei stream could totally happen. You're wearing a Legoland shirt. I mean, okay, this is a different story. You know what? Actually, give me just a second, chat. I need to go take care of something real quick. I see something over here. Give me a second. Alrighty, there we go. I'm back. I'm back, baby. Okay, so what was I getting at again? Still excited about Switch 2, but much like life and other hobbies, it's all about prioritizing accordingly. Yeah, 100% agreed on that. I can get that. I'm also under the same boat too. Um, like I stated before, things are not as free as I used to be back then. I don't have as much freedom as I used to before, but I do have a lot of joy being able to do what I can do and being able to do things I wasn't able to do at a younger age than I am currently right now. Like I said, the trip to Japan was a trip I never thought I would see happen, and I'm grateful it did happen. And I'm grateful I was able to experience something that will be a cherished moment in my life for sure. So yeah, very, very joyous on that. But other than that, though, I don't really got much else to add to the conversation. I do apologize on that aspect there. When it comes to Nintendo Switch 2 stuff for things, I'm more so at this point in this moment right now, at least, I'm currently waiting to uh, to learn more about when pre-orders are going to become available, when the pricing of it is going to stay the same or not, amongst many other things with Nintendo's upcoming system. I personally think, I don't know, maybe I might do this. I personally think I might go to the Nintendo store and maybe wait out line for like 24 hours or something for the very thing of the system itself, personally. I think I might do that. I think I might legitimately spend, spend 24 hours outside waiting for the release of Nintendo Switch 2. Because I think the adrenaline is going to hardcore carry me that whole thing. Because that would be insane to do 24 hours for that one. I'm not gonna lie, insane. So I might go. I might be stupid. I might do that. If anybody wants to tag along with me for that for the 24-hour ride, you're more than welcome to. But good God, it's gonna be hella insane for that. Um, but yeah, no, that's what I gotta say. Once again, sincerely, I appreciate everybody so much. I appreciate y'all coming here today. I appreciate y'all, subscribing to the channel, leaving a like, all that good stuff. And I hope to make more videos like this in the road. I don't think I'll try to manage between making videos and streams, but I definitely like making a lot more streams than I do making videos because it's just more fun being able to kind of like interact with y'all and see what the community has to say. And I wouldn't mind trying to dabble more in the gaming scene. I don't think I'll be able to do Let's Plays on this channel specifically, but I might be able to. I'm not gonna can book a trip to join. JK. That would be fun though. I'll give you that. But like I was gonna say, I don't think I'll if I stream games, I think I might be able to do it on a different channel, or something, or maybe I'll have to go back to Twitch to do that sort of stuff. I'm not 100% sure because I know I don't want to mix the personal talk between you and me right now versus mixing it with video games. Like I want to keep things concise to a particular category of topics in hand here. So think of this as like my talking channel, you know, and then like whatever other channel I make is gonna be like my video game stream channels or whatnot, So I do want to get back into that. I don't think we'll be well. I'll keep podcast related stuff out of the conversation for now, because that in and of itself is its own separate thing. But I'm glad you guys had enjoyed the podcasts back then. Twitch come back, huh? I don't know. We'll see. But I do need to make a new channel probably for gaming stuff, particularly, so I can just move and migrate all of the VODs over there. And then when that channel can get the opportunity to stream there, then maybe I'll move over there to stream video games too. But yeah, in the meantime, I kind of want to keep things sort of, in one place. When it comes to just topics at hand and discussing things with y'all, I think this is the best the best space to do that, in my eyes. So, sincerely, thank you guys so much for sticking around with me. I hope this year is a fun one for everybody. I hope to continue to make more topic videos like these. If you guys enjoy these sort of things, please let me know. Like I love to talk more about it. Like I know somebody mentioned before about Nikkei, but bro, like I mean, come on, man. I adore Nikkei. I love the franchise. Look, I got my buddy TSS to buy me this thing from when he came from his trip to Japan. So I love stuff like this. I love this franchise. This is, I would say, Nikkei is my Dragalia Lost of this generation. And I'm very grateful for that. So, yeah, maybe another day will be saved for that conversation. But for now, once again, thank you guys so much for being with here today. If you guys enjoyed this chit chat we had right now, please do me a solid. Just go ahead and leave a like down below. And I look forward to seeing you guys back again for another video, another stream, whatever it may be. There are still things I have to talk about that I didn't talk much about here. I want to talk more about Pokemon Champions. I want to talk more about Legends EA. I want to talk about more of just the side of gaming that we rarely get a chance to talk about because it's always usually just saved for playing the game. And I think it'd be fun to kind of to have more conversations about that. So I hope you guys look forward to all the stuff I have planned for the distant future. But in the meantime, though, please, by all means, look forward to you then. And I hope to speak with you all soon. All right, everybody? Take care now. We'll talk again later, man. Bye-bye.